We are at the home of Mr. and Mrs. Ramp. We're going to interview Richard Ramp today. This is March 17th, 2005. Mr. Ramp was in the Army during World War II. Mr. Ramp, are you a Columbia City native?
Yes.
Born here in Columbia City?
Yes.
Your family
Yes.
grew up here. You were in World War II.
Yes.
Were you drafted or did you actually join?
I was drafted.
You were drafted.
I was.
And no consideration to joining, or?
Well, no, I worked at the factory, Columbia City Wool Mill, and and I was.
You got your letter from the government.
Yeah, but I mean before that, I got a letter from Dick Fisher that I was
Exempt?
exempt for.
They made cloth for military uniforms and stuff.
An essential war.
Yeah.
Essential
Yeah.
war.
As soon as I was notified, I went to Ohio and was drafted from there.
You were drafted from Ohio?
Yeah.
Ohio?
Camp Perry.
Camp Perry in Ohio.
Perry.
In Columbia City, before you went up, you said your family was from Columbia City.
Yes.
Your mom and dad were alive?
Yes.
And brothers and sisters?
Yes.
Did you have, how many brothers and how many sisters?
7, I think.
Jack and Don and Bill and Eloise, Martha, Nancy. There were 3 boys and 3 girls, and one. Who did I missed somebody? No, I haven't.
There were 7 of you?
7 of us.
7
yeah.
of you, okay. And where did you fall in there? Were you the oldest, the youngest?
No, I was about middle.
You were about the middle?
Yeah, I was 30.
Third.
And did any of your siblings, your brothers and sisters, join any of the services?
No, there was 3 of us boys was.
The 3 boys all joined the service?
Yeah.
Okay. Were you married at that time?
No.
When you were first married? You weren't married. Dating anyone?
My first wife.
She would have to get that in there.
Okay. So you were drafted. How did that work? Did you have to register for a draft?
No,
Was
we got the draft in there.
They sent him a letter
Yeah.
saying,
I got
There's
the letter.
They knew where you were. They
Oh,
just
yeah.
they knew where you were. And how old were you when you were drafted?
20.
Must have been 20.
About 20. Okay. How'd you feel when you got that letter?
Well, I was just doing my duty. I what I considered.
Okay. Okay. So you actually went to Ohio where they inducted you into the
Yeah.
service?
Yeah.
Do you remember where in Ohio that was?
At Camp Perry.
Camp Perry, and what city is that by?
It's not too far from into
The lake. Is it close to Toledo? Is it close?
no, it's,
I don't really know where it was.
Okay.
And we don't have that on here.
Okay. Camp Perry. That's okay. Camp Perry in Ohio. And can you tell us about first arriving at Camp Perry? What happened to you? First off, how did you get there?
well, I went by bus.
You went by a bus.
Greyhound.
By a Greyhound bus. Were there other people that were going to Camp Perry on the Greyhound bus?
Yeah, I think there was 8 of us in the
Okay.
in the bus.
Okay, so the bus brought you to Camp Perry, and what happened then?
Well, we were inducted and give all the.
They kept Dick 3 extra days because he had had a hunting accident. And at the time, the doctor said he'd never be taken into the service because of this injury. But they took him, they put him in the airplane, they put him in the Air Force and put him up in an airplane. So the accident that he had didn't bother because he still has some 50-some buckshot in his chest
Oh
from
my.
that accident.
And how soon before you were drafted and were inducted did that accident happen? Was it recent? Had it been a recent injury?
It was 2 years before,
Well, it was
because it was,
1940.
it was
For
right
about
up-
5 years,
Yeah.
or about 2 years,
2 years.
1942. Okay. Did they, what kind of physical test did they give you?
Well, they gave me everything because then they found out I was shot and they held me over.
Okay.
I think I got the telegram or something that sent them a letter.
When you were at Camp Perry, did you receive any kind of training there?
No.
No?
Just the uniforms and
Okay, so where did you go for your training then after Camp Perry?
Camp Perry, no.
Fort Lauderdale, no, Tampa, Florida, no?
Yeah, it wasn't
It
Tampa.
wasn't Tampa,
St. Pete,
St. Pete, yeah.
St. Petersburg.
They sent you down to Florida to do the training. What kind of
Basic.
training did you get there?
Just basic training and
What is that like? What was basic training like?
we went to, well, first everybody got put in tents. It was called Tent City at St. Pete. And
Then everybody got sick.
everybody got sick with diarrhea and so forth. And so we went back downtown. They went downtown and set everybody out of their hotels, and we took over to all the hotels that was available.
So they took you from the tent city and put you in hotels because everybody was getting sick.
Yeah.
Wow. Had you been away from home for any extended period before this?
Not too much. I took a trip to West after school, and me and Ed Blau, we went out. We were going to go clear to Oregon and Washington D.C. State of Washington, and we ran out of money before we get that far, so we had to come back.
Was this, did you, after you graduated from high school?
Yeah, it was.
Okay. And how long did it take you to finish basic training? Approximately.
Oh, I think I was down there 3 months.
About 3 months?
Yeah.
Okay. And did you go in, when you first were inducted, you were like a private? Is that
Yes.
your rank?
Right.
And at the end of the 3 months, were you still a private, or did they give you some kind of increase in
No, I
rank?
went to regular school, and I was still private.
You were still a private. What kind of schooling did they give you? What kind
I
of did
went
you receive?
to photography school in Denver, Colorado,
Oh,
and I got pictures of me graduating and stuff like that.
okay.
And then that's when I made PFC.
That's when you made PFC. Had you been interested in photography before this?
Not
Or
really.
how did they decide to train you to be a photographer?
That's evidently the school had room open to go there.
Did you get any choice in that?
No, I don't
No.
think so.
Oh, wow. Okay. So they taught you how to take pictures out in Colorado, and how long were you there?
A little over a year, I
A
think.
little over a year?
Yeah.
No, you weren't there that long. You left Denver on July the 21st of 43. You went to Colorado in April of 43, and then in July of 43 you left Denver for Salinas, California.
So you were in Denver for quite more than a few weeks, like
Yeah,
you would
I
do for
think so.
basic, something like
Yeah.
that. Okay. And is that when you were in Colorado learning to be a photographer? Is that the only kind of training you received, or did they give you other kind of training?
No, it was just basically
Just be photographer.
yeah, photography.
Okay. And after that, then you went to California.
Yes.
What you do in California?
I was assigned to
I don't think it tells here just exactly what you were assigned to.
I was assigned to a regular company
Railroad company.
that take photography.
to do photography.
Yeah.
And that was here in the United States, you were doing
Yes.
that photography.
Right.
Okay.
While he was out there, he took the exam for pilot training, air cadet training. And he passed, but they didn't have any place to put him. They had everybody, the schools were all filled up.
I see.
So then's when they came along and asked if you wanted to go to Gunnery School.
Yeah.
Well, you took a test to see if you could be a pilot, but not to be a pilot. You hadn't had the training
I
yet.
had no training.
Didn't
but
have
I
any
was-
training yet. And
I was past the test
to go to
to
school.
go to school,
Sort of like the SATs now, you have to take an SAT to get into college type of thing?
probably,
Yeah,
something like that.
okay. And then you went on to Gunnery School?
Yes.
Did you have any say in any of this?
Not, well, I was asked to if I wanted to go to gunnery school because I couldn't get in
Okay,
pilot.
okay.
And
Did you?
I said yes, I want to get out of the States, really.
Okay.
I'm going to get up in an airplane.
What did you learn in Gunnery School? What does that mean to be in Gunnery School? What kind of things do you learn there?
Well, they put about 10 guys in an airplane and there's another plane flying alongside you and we shot at what was it called?
Target.
Target. And we just tested at that and we went schooling too all the time.
And
And
what kind of guns were you shooting?
50 caliber
From an airplane?
from the airplane I was in. I shot at the target.
Make any friends out there?
Oh, I think so.
Kind of buddies? You remember what kind of things did you and your buddy do when you weren't up there practicing
Oh,
to shoot a gun?
Went out in the Gulf and swam and
In
something
the
like
Gulf
that.
and swam and things like that?
Yeah.
How about entertainment while you were there? What kind of things were available to you?
Not really too much.
No?
But we,
Where in California were you?
not California. I was in Salinas, California.
Salinas.
Salinas.
Okay. This wasn't too much around there for you guys to do?
Well, this was down at Fort Myers, Florida.
You were in Fort Myers, Florida
Yeah,
by now.
yeah,
I
went
see.
back to Florida.
Uh-huh. And about how long were you there in Fort Myers?
December. It's when you went to Oklahoma.
A few months,
Oh, yeah, the training.
This was all just 2 or 3 months.
2 or 3 months at a time.
Yeah.
Okay. Then from Florida you went to Oklahoma? Is that what I heard? Oklahoma?
Yeah.
Okay. Why did it send you to Oklahoma? What'd you have to do there?
Was Oklahoma? Oregon, and then
Well, that's where we got married in Oklahoma.
You got married in Oklahoma?
Yeah.
From this girlfriend you had when you left? The girlfriend that you had when you left? How'd you keep in touch with her?
Oh,
How'd you keep her as a girlfriend? You're going all over the country like that.
well, I don't know. We knew each other fairly well before,
Uh-huh.
and I come home on a leave before I went overseas, and we talked and we decided we'd get married.
So, and she came to Oklahoma to get married.
Right?
Did her family or your family come? Were they able to be at the wedding?
No,
No,
No.
just
I
you and
didn't
her.
know a soul but him.
but I knew 15 or 20 guys and their wives
Were there?
There, and
Okay. And did you get to have a long honeymoon?
3 days.
3-day honeymoon.
Sure.
And then she had to come back to Columbia City and you had to...
Well, she was there.
I stayed there till after Easter that year, there was a couple from Indianapolis that he got to know Francis Gallagher real well. And when he was home at Christmas time, we went to Indianapolis. His sister lived in Indianapolis, and Gallagher's lived in Indianapolis. So I met Gallagher's at that time. And then I worked at General Electric until late in February, and then I got ready to go to Oklahoma. And my mother went to Chicago with me, and my dad had a sister that lived up there, and she came to the train station. My mother's sister and her husband, he was stationed at Great Lakes up there, and they all wound up at the train station. And my uncle was in the Navy, and he took my suitcase in one hand and my hand in the other and took me in the serviceman's entrance, so I'd be sure and have a seat on that train. The train left that morning about 11:15. I didn't get to Oklahoma City till the next day about that same time. And that was on Thursday, and we were married on Friday. He went back to the base on Monday morning. And we lived in an apartment house where a couple of these other couples lived, two-bedroom house, for a while, out at the edge of Oklahoma City. And it was really an old west town, because they were still riding horses. The tavern still had the swinging doors. Oh, it was wild.
Okay, so you lived in Oklahoma City for a little while.
Came home in May, I think it was.
You came home in May of, and we're in 1944 now? 1944. Did you finally get to go overseas?
Oh, yeah.
Where'd you go?
I went to Tippenham, England.
Tippenham, England. Were you a pilot at this point, or?
No, I was a gunner.
The gunner.
Gunner.
You got to be the gunner, okay.
Yeah.
And you went to England.
Yeah.
Now that must have been before D-Day.
Oh, yeah.
Before D-Day?
Yeah, I flew 20 missions.
You flew
No.
20 missions.
D-Day's when they...
Oh, D-Day, yeah.
that had already happened
Yeah.
before you went over
Okay.
there.
Okay.
Because
Yeah,
they had that
D-Day.
real bad Pulaski raid that you've heard people talk about.
Were you flying in that, or?
No.
He was
No.
replacement for
You
crew
were a replacement for that?
for
Yeah.
that.
Okay. So you got to go to England after D-Day had happened, and you flew 20 missions.
No, I got there before D-Day.
You got there before
I
D-Day.
was in London on D-Day.
No, that you're thinking of VE Day when the war was over.
Oh, okay.
D-Day was when Eisenhower went on the beach of France.
Landed
That's
in
when
France.
Donnie was killed.
Yeah, that's when my brother was.
Your brother was killed
Yeah.
on D-Day?
Not on D-Day.
what?
He got almost to St. Lo.
Yeah.
He got as far as St. Lo and was killed there.
Was killed there, and he was in the army?
Yes.
Okay. What was England like?
Well, it was real nice. We've been back twice.
You have
I've
since
taken
then?
her back twice and took my daughter back once.
Uh-huh.
And
Was it a big barracks that you lived in then? Is that how you?
Not really. It was a 2-story and
I don't know how many groups were in one of the barracks. I don't remember you saying.
well, must have been. There was more killed, and there were several guys killed in that mission that I replaced.
Uh-huh.
And
There may have been 4 groups, maybe, because there's, 8 or 9 of you on the airplane.
well, no, there was 8.
How many times did you fly a mission? And that wasn't every day, was it? Did you go out every
Well,
day?
some days you went 3 days, and they wouldn't allow you to fly over 3 missions straight.
Three
One.
missions straight.
Yeah.
And where were your missions? Where were you going to?
Oh, we were going all over Germany. I was not London, but
Berlin.
Berlin,
Went to Berlin.
and
A place called Maglenburg.
that was one of the toughest ones. Mecklenburg, it was just enough paper not too long ago, something about it.
When you flew a mission, how many planes usually went?
It'd be 30 from our base,
30 from your base.
and then we get out over the channel and form up or get together with the other guys. It was going. Sometimes we'd have 1,000 airplanes in the air.
For one mission?
Oh yeah,
Really? And what kind of plane were you on? It was
B-24.
B-24.
Like that plane right behind me. I just got that on my birthday.
That's nice. Is that a bomber then?
Yeah.
You're on the bomber, and you were a gunnery.
Yeah, top turret gunner.
Top turret. So you were on the top of the plane.
Yeah.
Doing
right.
that. They said that was isn't that a dangerous position to be on?
It's not too good.
Not too good.
No, we got shot up 2 or 3 times.
Did you?
Oh yeah, by flak.
Flak.
Yeah, from other
Can
German
you
airplanes.
explain to us that weren't around then what flak is?
Well, that's when they shoot at you and they hit you.
Okay.
They put lots of little metal pieces in a bomb. And when the bomb explodes, all these pieces, he brought home a piece of it that ruined an engine. We've got it in one of those books. They're just little bits of pieces of metal.
Ah.
And they were all loaded into a bomb. I don't know what size those bombs were. But he's written in this account of the missions, he's got the size of the bombs that they had.
Okay.
And every mission he went on, he took a tag off of one bomb and kept it and brought it home. So it tells just exactly what size those bombs were. And we've got him in there and since he had all this photography training, he kept the pictures, did the pictures of the bombs too, bomb runs.
Right.
And we've got a picture of each bomb run, we've got a tag off of a bomb, and then we've got this one little piece of flak.
Is 20 unusual number? Isn't that a lot?
No, you had to stay there for at least 30.
You had to stay for at least 30.
Yeah. That's,
Okay. And how come you only got 20? Was
war ended.
the war ended?
Yeah.
Okay, well that's good. While you were in England, surely you weren't working all the time.
No.
No? What kind of things you do when you weren't working?
Oh, I went to Scotland and
Loch Lomond.
Loch Lomond and
You went to London several times.
oh yeah, I went to London.
Were you close to London?
About 60 miles.
About 60 miles from London.
Yeah.
Okay. How about the food over there? What kind of things did you get to eat? Did you get to sample the local food, or was it all military type of stuff?
Most from military.
Mostly the military.
Yeah.
Was there anything in London that you really liked? Any kind of food or entertainment, or
There wasn't too much entertainment.
no entertainment again?
No, not to speak of.
How about the USO people? Did
Well,
they get
we went on Trafalgar Square,
Trafalgar Square?
and we go there and sign up for a bed that night, and
And then you go see things in London.
went not roller skating, but ice skating one time. And I tell her about that every now and then.
Well, tell us about it.
Oh, it was nothing, but I was just, they had these kids on today about skating on, what's it called?
Well, I don't know what you're thinking about, but they do all of the turning and twisting and
Yeah.
turning and stuff. The competition ice skate.
Oh.
And then he'll say, well, I ice skated in London. And and we'll talk about that a little bit. And tell her about the time was it the bombardier knew the family in London and they took you downstairs for a steak dinner? Panosian?
Yeah, Panosian.
He was their bombardier, and he was Armenian.
He played bombardier. I guess that's what it would have been, yeah.
Yeah. Because Gaster was the pilot, and Farmer was the co-pilot, and Panosian was the bombardier. And he was Armenian, and he knew an Armenian family that lived in London. And of course things were scarce, but they got stuff together, and he took all of you on your crew, or just...
I think it was just 4 of us.
And they were in there downstairs, and they had a steak dinner, which they hadn't had anything like that for a long time. I always thought that was a good story.
It's wonderful.
Wonderful. Was that the officer? Oh no, it was Ted that always put the.
No, not Ted. It was Frank.
Yeah, the co-pilot would put some of their guys' uniforms on to go to town with the fellas, because officers were supposed to be above a lot of this fun stuff, and
they were all supposed to be gentlemen.
Oh, I see.
And
they could have been in big trouble if they found.
Oh yeah, they had just a regular, probably staff sergeant uniform on, and he was a.
Huh. Did you get to meet many British people? Did you get to talk to them?
Well, not really. We've had a lot of talk with since the war's over with, and we went back over, and I got to be acquainted with several of them.
Several of them.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
his base that he was on is now a glider field at Tibbettham. The county, Norwich is the city, Norfolk is the county, and the people that fly gliders took that base over and kept it as a airfield for small airplanes and gliders. And the first time we went, we got to have a glider ride.
But it's still an airfield.
It's still an airfield.
Still an airfield. That's fascinating. So, how are you keeping in touch with your family back in the United States at this time?
Oh, I'd send her email.
They had then what they called Vmail Letters. They were just little tiny things, and he could, of course he always wrote very small, but he could get quite a little bit on those things, but, and they all had to be censored, and of course I tried to write every day. I got a spell where I didn't write as much as I thought should, and he scolded me for it. But he was a good correspondent person. I had a great-grandmother, he wrote to my grandmother, he wrote to my great-grandmother, he wrote to my aunts, he just wrote to everybody. And they were all tickled to death to hear from him.
So you were in London then when the war ended?
Yes.
Okay.
We just went to...
You were on a 3-day pass or
yeah,
something.
I was trying to think of the...
He was standing on where he could see the Queen when she come out, and the girl, well, the King and Queen at the time, and then the gal that's Queen now was a little girl. And they all came out on the balcony at Buckingham Palace and greeted this whole massive bunch of people. And he showed
you were there
me
for that?
Mm-hmm.
Showed me right where he was standing when we were over there that first time, when they declared the war over.
Did you have to go, what kind of duties did you have after that?
Not really too much.
Not too much?
No.
How long after that did you get to come back to the United States?
We had to stay 10 days over when everybody else was going home because of when it needed an engine. So it took 10 days to get a new engine.
Oh, you flew back then?
Oh yes,
Flew back?
yeah.
Did you fly there?
No.
Did you have to take a boat?
No, took a boat.
Took a boat there,
Yeah,
and then you flew the plane back to the United States.
right.
Huh. And then all this time, what you were doing, you were a gunner.
Yeah,
That was your job the whole time you were over there.
And after the war ended, then we worked on airplanes and to get them ready to come home and stuff like that.
Here when you were in England.
In England, yes.
Okay. And then when you came back to the United States, were you discharged immediately, or how long after
No,
that?
I went to Deming, New Mexico, and
What'd you do down there?
waiting on to go to Japan area.
Oh, so
We
you
were
weren't
gonna-
out yet. You were.
No, we were going to try to learn to fly on a B-29.
Ah.
It was a newer plane,
Uh-huh.
and
Same thing. You would have been a gunner on the
yeah,
B-29.
evidently, yes, or
Okay.
photographer.
Photographer.
Yeah. There was a guy here in Columbus City. Is it
Is it Mr.
Jones.
Jones?
Yeah.
Yeah.
he was
He's already.
a photographer.
Uh-huh. Did you get to go to Japan?
No,
Or did-
no, I had enough points to get out.
You had enough points to get out.
Yeah.
Well,
How'd that work? How'd the point system work?
Well, it was how long he was in the service and how many missions or jobs that you were on,
Uh-huh.
and they all counted points.
Uh-huh. You got so many points and you got to
Yeah.
leave.
Yeah.
When was that? You remember when that was? November of 45, I think
yeah,
you put on here.
November
of
45.
Well, it wasn't too much after that. When was the Pacific War declared over?
Oh, I think it had just been declared over
Yeah,
just before he got to come
just
home.
before you got to come home.
I'm not sure of the date of it, but
Yeah, it was right around then.
it was.
Okay, where'd you go from New Mexico? From New Mexico then? You weren't discharged from New Mexico?
No,
were
I
you?
was down at
Atterbury.
Camp Atterbury.
Here in Indiana. In
Yeah,
Indiana. Okay, and then you were discharged at Camp Atterbury. You came back to Columbia City.
Yeah. Yes.
Came back to Columbia City. What'd you do when you got back to Columbia City?
Went back to work at the wool mill.
At the woolen mill.
Yeah.
You were able to get back to work right away.
Yeah, yeah.
That was good. Did you get to join anything like the American Legion or
Oh, yes.
the VFW?
Yeah.
Still remember that? What kind of thing is that? What kind of benefit has it been for you, the American Legion or the VFW? What kind of things do you do?
He's not much of a active person in some. He's been a member of the American Legion all these years.
Over 50 years.
But as far as being very active in the things that go on out there, he's
He doesn't
not.
do that.
He's just not that.
Were you able to take advantage of the GI Bill or anything?
No.
Any portion of that you never took advantage?
No, I had a job.
Okay, so you didn't go for any more schooling or education or anything like that?
No.
Okay. Did you have any children at this time yet?
No.
No.
46.
46 is when you had your first child. And how many children do you have now?
Just one.
We only had one.
Just one. That's okay.
She's a daughter.
Daughter.
She works in Fort Wayne, lives up on Little Otter Lake between Angola and Fremont.
Okay. You mentioned there were 3 of you brothers and one was killed in France. And what happened to the other brother?
He was, he spent, I think 3 or 4 years in the service, but he was,
El Paso.
yeah, now it's El Paso, he's a guard at the border.
Border.
Yeah,
Okay.
but he was in the
Military
service.
police.
Huh?
Military police.
Yeah, military police.
But he came home.
Yeah,
He was able to come home.
yeah.
Very good. Were you ever how often did you get to go on leave? An extended leave. Were you, from the time you went into the service, did you get to come back to Columbia City at all?
Yeah, once, didn't I?
No, you were here at Christmas time before we were married, and then you were here in November before you left on the boat to go to England. So you were home twice.
So you did get some time to get home. Were you able to see your brothers when you were home? Were you ever home at the same time?
No,
No.
but I wanted to see my brother in France because he buried him over there.
Oh, did they?
And
Is he buried there still?
no,
No,
he's here on North Cemetery.
You brought him home.
And
So
I went down
how'd you-
to try to make appointment to, because I knew where he was and everything.
Uh-huh.
And
Is this when you were in
in
England?
England.
Okay.
Now, and then I had a 10-day, we were waiting on the plane to be fixed.
Uh,
And I went down to make appointment to, and they wouldn't give it to me.
They wouldn't. Who wouldn't? The
The
United
American Red Cross.
The American Red Cross.
And I will never donate a dime.
Okay,
And- okay, I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's his story. How'd you find out about your brother?
Well, my mother wrote me,
Your mother wrote to you?
and I think she did too.
We got the call because his folks didn't have a telephone. So anytime they got a telephone call, it came in to my mother and dad's where I was living while he was gone. And the call came there. And then they sent the telegram out to his mother's. But I knew by then, and so I went out. And I said, I'm going to call Red Cross to see if Dick can come up. No, you're going out. This was in August, and I was going out to Idaho in September. And she says, I want you to tell Dick. I don't want him to find out any other way. So he would have gotten to come home probably on an emergency leave type of thing. But we did it the way his mother wanted it done. So he didn't know until September then that Donnie was gone.
And,
But the thing, he and I were married in 1944 in Oklahoma City. And for our first anniversary, we got a card from him. And in that card, it was an anniversary card plus a second one, because he says, I don't know where I'll be when, oh no, it was a card congratulating us on getting married and a first anniversary card, because he didn't know where he would be on our first anniversary. And by that time, he was gone.
did he have a family?
No,
No. He hadn't married yet. But you were able to bring him back to the United States?
yes.
How'd that work? How were you able to get that accomplished?
Parents, my mother done that, I guess.
Your mom took care of that?
Yeah. It was,
I don't know how that worked. I don't
48 or something like that before you
Oh, so the war was well over by the
Oh,
time
yeah.
she was able to
It
bring
was
it
early
home.
in the 50s, I think, when Don was brought back. Like 52 or 53, something like that. And they had a memorial service then at the funeral home. And then it turned out to be like any funeral.
Mhm. Well, I don't have any more questions, Mr. Ram. Is there anything that we haven't talked about that you'd like to tell us about? Something we've missed? Something that was important to you, or something interesting that happened, or?
Well, I guess not. It's just a,
Tonight, in the middle of the night, he'll think of that. That's the way it works around here, is a rule. I can't see
How
any.
about that hat you were showing me? Can we bring that out now?
yeah,
You sit there, we'll go get it, okay?
that's the
You tell us about that hat.
helmet you wore while you was up in flight,
In flight?
and I always had it, and wore it and everything, and we were in Florida, and I had it on.
Now, it looks like it's leather, isn't it?
Yeah,
Is that
it's all
leather?
there, yeah. And
He put a different kind of a cord on it.
I put a cord on it, and I get into an airplane, another airplane besides an Army airplane. And I could plug this in and I could hear the pilot and the co-pilot. And,
Oh, really? Even
and-
now? Even now?
Yeah, well, I probably could.
Oh,
I
wow.
did then in Florida.
We took,
Huh.
we took a ride in one of these bi-wing planes, these old
Uh-huh.
planes. And he and another fellow that was in our mobile home park. And he took the hat with him and he could plug it into the dashboard in the back seat. And he said he could hear the tower and the pilot and everything, just like he did when he had to wear it. And
Really?
But
So, how did that work then? Show us.
well, this was a regular.
they put,
He's fine. She's following him. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
You do what you want to do
But
now.
this was a regular Army issue.
That is right there, you have in your hand?
Yeah, plug it in. So then I soldered this on to that. And
Okay.
because American planes nowadays have a real small talk on them, if
Uh-huh.
you talk to them and listen. And here's the speaker, I mean, not the speaker, but the
earphone.
earphones. And I could sit there and when somebody say something in that area in Florida, I could hear them and
Oh, wow.
knew where they was talking. And,
So is that mostly for communication then? Is that how you use that app?
well, we talked to our crew, like when we were shot up at one time.
Uh-huh.
This was we called and see if everybody was all right, and Gillette was the one that got hit that day,
Yeah.
and
But that was regular Army issue for all of them in the
well,
plane.
yeah,
That
we
was
all
their-
had them.
Their
And
main contact in the
so
airplane.
we put that on and just plug it in, and
Does it
you're-
still fit you?
Oh, I think so. With that.
There you go. And then what did that other thing plug into then? The part that goes into the plane, where did that plug into?
We had to plug in right in your turret.
Okay.
And when, like, we got shot up or something like that, then they would ask everybody, did you get hit or you all right?
Uh-huh.
And I passed out one time on the,
In the air, wasn't
yeah,
it?
we were, oh, I can't tell. But anyhow, this wires all got tangled up, and my
Air.
ear was tangled up, and I lost all my
Oxygen.
oxygen. Couldn't,
Uh-huh.
and so the pilot tried to call me, and I didn't answer. And so he sent the radio man up to me and seen what was wrong. But the whole time, my wires are all crossed, and it was different.
I'll bet. That's very interesting.
But I had quite a bit of stuff when I brought her up, come home,
Uh-huh.
and I don't have it anymore. When we went to Florida, I had sold it.
Did you?
Yeah. It,
So every one of them had that, right? Everybody on the plane had one of those?
oh yeah,
Even the pilots?
yeah.
Even the pilots had
Everybody
those?
had it, yeah. Because the pilot was the one that talked to the radio man to come up and see what was wrong with me up there.
How did they just untangle everything for you so you
No,
get some?
in the top turret, to get out of it, you had to pull a lever, and you just drop out at the bottom of it.
Oh,
So I wasn't acting right, I guess.
so you just came out of it.
Yeah.
You pulled the thing and you
Yeah.
came down. Okay. Was there anything else you'd like to tell us about, sir?
That was a long and tiresome journey.
Was it?
Yeah. on certain missions, we were issued maps. And they were all silk, and I got 3 of them on there.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
look at that.
And they were to, in case you got shot down, you had that map in your pocket, and you tried to escape out of the Germany or.
Were you given special instructions? What were you supposed to do if you were shot down and you landed in behind the lines? The enemy
Just try to get away from and see if you can find a civilian to help you get out of the. And then this map you carried with you, you'd find out where he was at or what mission he was on.
Uh-huh.
So you have like Berlin or whatever. You'd have an idea where he was at when he landed on the ground.
Did you meet anybody that happened to? And they, I'm wondering how well that worked. Whether people were able to get out once they were shot down, or
oh, they got quite a bit of them got out.
Did they?
Yeah, oh yeah.
and they were helped by the civilians on the ground mostly.
Mhm.
Wow.
Once in a great while, you'd be a German person to help you.
Uh-huh. Were all your missions into Germany? Is that where
No,
you?
no, I was over France 3 times.
Oh, France 3 times.
And I guess, well, I really can't tell you.
Okay. It's okay. Well, Mr. Ramp, we'd really like to thank you for allowing us to do this. Your story's been fascinating. Thanks again.
Yeah, thank you.